going to show you a solo flawless master Vox Obscura mission during the season of Plunder on an Arc 3.0 Titan. First, I just want to see that and skip the timestamp, so for that I'm going to show you the modifiers and the build I had on. So this mission does have modifiers. It's 1580 in power. The only reason why I'm doing it is because it's an updated run, because a couple of things have changed since this mission launched, and I haven't really played this mission much. I mean, I've done a couple of flawlesses on it, right, with a couple of different characters in the past, but I haven't done it for quite some time, so I wanted to do an updated run on it, right? So it's going to be more accessible to people because it's 1580 in power. It isn't scaled on 10 levels each season because it's attached to, as I say, a previous season. So the modifiers are Chaff, radar is disabled. The match game shields are solar and void. Champions mob. Match game is on, of course, as I just said. Equipment locked, so you need to pick a loadout, you can't swap. Pestilence, when sounds are defeated, they spawn void grenades. Champions are barrier and unstoppable, and there's quite a couple of champions, so you need to spec for champs as well. So I'm on Titan. You can do this on any class. I've just happened to be on Titan when I'm doing this. I would understand if you went solar, be better survivability for you at the final boss and stuff, but you don't have to. I'm just going Arc for the video, and Arc 3.0 is in fashion at the minute, so I'm going to go with what's in fashion, right, and showcase Arc 3.0 in this mission, all right? So, first of all, the super that we chose was Fist of Havoc. I can go Thunder Crash. I could have went that. It wouldn't have been a problem either or. Fist of Havoc works out alright in this, I'll be honest. It seems decent. It's Roman super. You get damage resistance from Roman supers that you won't get from Thunder Crash because it's not Roman. It's a one-shot thing. So, it's actually alright, Fist of Havoc. Not too bad. We've got the class ability Thruster on, Seismic Strike, Storm Grenades. Aspects are Knockout, Touch of Thunder. Fragments are Spark of Shock, Magnitude, Feedback, Ions. Paired that with the exotic chest plate Heart of Inmost Light for obvious reasons for ability spam this season with Storm Grenades. Weapon wise, because there's so many unstoppable champions, I went with Malfeasance just for a change up to see what it's like. Because that has unstoppable rounds built into it, but it's a little different to general unstoppable hand cannon, which I'll talk about in the run. Then we've got a barrier scout rifle on, Vision of Confluence. Just because it's got disruption break on, and it gels nicely with Malfeasance, right? But I didn't have to use this. You could use any scout you want. I was just happened to use this combo, all right? Any scout you want, really. And then we've got the Void Linear Fusion Rifle Taipan, the crafted version of it. I recommend this linear in this, pretty decent. But any linear will work, any that you want. I've got all of them, right? I could pick any linear I want to use. I just happen to feel like I want to use this one. Mods on the helmet, we've got Ashes to Assets, Linear Fusion, Ammo Finder, Elemental Light, Elemental Ordnance, Barrier Scout, Scout Loader. We don't need Unstoppable on the gauntlets because it's built into Malfeasance. Double Arc Resist, one seasonal, one standard with a high energy fire. So we're using Elemental Wells. When we pick up that well, we have a 20% damage bonus, weapon damage bonus, indefinitely, however long we want to. Whereas with Font of Might, it is time-based, so I don't use Font of Might as generally as I should, but I generally use more high-energy fire, even though Font of Might is a higher buff, because I'm getting a lot of questions about that, and I'm just explaining that I generally use high-energy fire over Font of Might, but it's not to say that I don't use Font of Might. I'm just explaining to you why I'm using high-energy fire, because there's no time issues with it. Then we've got Linear Fusion Scarvon, Recuperation, Elemental Charge, that's your bridging mod, so when you pick up an Elemental Well, you then get that high energy fire. Double Bomber on the class piece, because when you do your thruster dodge, you're getting grenade energy while it's doing it. It's really good bomber. On Titan, really good. And then Bountiful Wells, we get 2 wells rather than 1, right? That's the setup that we're using for this. So as we start the run, you want to head left first, as you want to do some forward planning by killing some champs before you get to the next phase. If you don't do what I'm doing right now, you'll have an unstoppable chase you while you're trying to kill a tank, which is not ideal. So I recommend you do spawn kill an unstoppable down here that spawns, same position each time. So we'll get a stun with Malfeasance, then a storm grenade, and then dodge to get that enhanced ability damage. And then you can see the Malfeasance with the stopping of the champ. But what the difference is, if you notice, I'm not able to instantly stun the champ. You have to get up some stacks with the weapon, with the stack and damage, right? So it takes a little bit first. It is an instant, which is a drawback to the weapon, I must say. especially if you're on GM level and you just need to stun a champ and it doesn't right away. So there is a little bit of, you've got to allow for that and make sure that you're far enough away from the unstoppable that he doesn't one-shot you. He will on higher difficulties, obviously not on these difficulties, it's not too much of a problem. But it is really good. You can exclusively use it on unstoppable and it will kill the unstoppable, right? Just because of its high damage. Even better on a hunter with the lucky pants, but obviously we're not on that build. So there's going to be unstoppable here. I'm going to try and maintain a charge of light. Now I wouldn't get this with Font of Might because the time would run out, right? But with charge of light I can keep it. It's 20% damage bonus kept. As long as I don't kill an ad, I keep it. So I'm going to use that on the tank coming up. I'm going to spawn kill the tank. I'm not going to one-shot the tank with the ram vehicle. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm backtracking. This is a little strat for you. It's actually a little bit more convenient. Notice I spawn killed the barrier as well. Reason for that is I'm going to come out of this little hole here. It means one of the scions on a vehicle will never spot us and he can one-shot and we don't want to deal with it. So I'm going to come over to here. I'm going to show you the safer way of doing this thing, right? And then we can do some damage to the tank. Now if the tank wasn't sort of stuck in the ground, we wouldn't be so sort of confused on what's going right now. It's like actually stuck. But we'll do our damage from back here. Notice I'm still charged with light, so I'm taking benefit from that. What would have been good in this run is Sundering Glare, and I didn't use it because I went all in for grenades and stuff with double bomber and stuff like that. But I could have went Sundering Glare. You could go Sundering Glare and I wouldn't argue with you because it's a debuff, right, for the enemy. Then when you kill that tank, you need to hurry up and kill the 3 turrets. Those turrets need to be taken down, and then you need to be ready to pick up that tank. Because this is the only tank you're going to get for the first phase. And then as soon as you get it, you need to get over that hill right away. If you are literally a half a second to a second later than what you should be, your tank will get destroyed by the Thresher and all the ads. If that happens, it's a little harder to do the tank section. This is a vehicle section. And the thing is, you don't get another Drake tank, that's what they're called, until you kill the 2 tanks, the Cabal tanks here. You then have access to one. So you've only got one use here, one spend. After this, you have an unlimited amount of times to kill, to pick up the Drake tank. So yeah, you want to be moving left and right. Never sit still in this. You need to be left, right constantly, using mainly the heavy attack. That does you damage. Now, what you need to understand is power level is actually affected by vehicle damage in the game. Right? So if you're not 1580, you say 1570, then your tank will do less damage and be less resistant to damage from enemies. So the higher you level, the better it is. Right? Now I believe you can over-level content in the game, so it would. I think you would get a little bit of benefit over 1580. How much that will be, I don't know, but I'm not here to test it. But I have done it at 1580 when it was a 1580 mission, and it wasn't too bad to complete then. It's very similar to what it is now. You need to take down the 3 towers. Right, now you're going to get another spend. Now pay attention to get out of that tank as soon as that tank's about to explode, because you will get out but you'll have full HP. Your HP bar will still be full as you jump out, so you're not going to like die randomly as you jump out. So that's always nice. But yeah, it's just a case of roaming around this map, getting the 3 towers. You're going to get melted by the Threshers and stuff like that. So you may need to get 2-3 Drakes on this. But as I said, you can respawn and get another Drake tank after the tower section because timer stops. So you are time gated there. But you saw I finished there and I was playing it casual. I still got it done, no problem. So as I say, as long as you sort of 1580, then you're alright in this. It's when you're under leveled. I remember when it first came out and people were doing master under level and it was hard. It was time. The time on it is harsh, but not when you're at power, right? This mission's basically the equivalent of your presage. Bear in mind, nowhere near as hard, but it's your presage for when Witch Queen came out, right? So this is that style of mission, which is why I'm covering it. You know, it is a little boring. I think the time is a little bit harsh. And there's too much vehicle stuff in it. It is a change of pace having a lot of vehicle stuff in a mission like this. It's quite rare and it is nice. But once you keep playing it over and over, you kind of like over the whole vehicle thing in this mission, right? So that's what I think. I don't think the mission's that good. And I think we have got to step back. The fact that we haven't got Prestige and those missions and the Whisper mission and 0 Hour, it is a little bit of a step back. And we shouldn't be stepping back, right? Because that stuff that I've just mentioned is years old. We should always be forward. The content should always be gradually getting a little bit better, or a lot better. And it isn't. This is actually a worse mission than those what I've just mentioned. But it's meant to fill the same role as those. So we're going to skip past the enemies on the right hand side you saw. I don't need to put a flag down because I've got full ammo, just about. I'm happy enough with my ammo, I've got super and all stuff like that. So this first room, be careful not to sprint too far forward. If you do that, one of the Unstoppables or both of them might not spawn in right away and you delay their spawn. It's weird. So stay back a little bit. What I decided to do in this room is just clear the ads because the storm can sort of block all the ads where this little ramp area, and it just means I can take them out, you know, with no problems because there's a lot of snipers on this phase. So this is a safer way of doing it. But once you have cleared the two Unstoppables, you need to get on with the mission because you were timed on the left hand side. You're timed, you need to get going with it, right? So we need a storm grenade for this side here. I go left, I don't go right. There is a right side. I don't go left because I remember when I was doing this mission back in the days, well, when it came out, it was just easier going left because there's a little bit more cover and stuff like that. That's just what I always used to do, but just whatever suits you. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to actually kill the ads in middle because there's ads in the middle, then there's the scannables left, right and mid. Right, rather than go for a scannable and have a door open, because if you have a door open behind you while you're dealing with mid, the ads from behind you will shoot you, which you don't really want. That's why I push up. A lot of cover, as you can see, so I can easily take out the barrier and stuff like that. And the turrets, they're very important. You need to take them out. They get in your way. Now, this flame thing can do a lot of damage to you. So if you're half HP, minding your own business, you jump over, you will die. You will die. You will burn out. So don't do that. I'm going to use the super here. It's doing pretty well damage. I mean, I don't know if it's because of Spark of Feedback. Spark of Feedback says if you get melee damage by an enemy, your melee damage is increased. Now, Feast of Havoc, I don't know if the melee shoulder charge classes are like melee damage, or if it's super. But I don't know if it's buffy or not. If someone knows, let me know. I haven't tested that. But I've got Spark of Feedback on for plus 10 resilience. That's why I use it. Because it just opens up stats for... you can incorporate more stats elsewhere when you do that. That's why I like to use it. Then obviously Spark of Ions, Magnitude, Shock. They're all best ones to use. Ions is really good with Harvey most likely. You get even faster grenades. Spark, well, it jolts the enemies. And Magnitude makes your grenade last longer, which you do want for the storm grenades. So we're going to go middle next. I'll only clear out what I really need to. I won't sort of clear out all the phalanxes. My scout will shoot through their shields as well because it's barrier scout. And what I do with the ultras is just storm them and then use Malfeasance, and that takes them out no problem. And we can pick up any elemental wells and proceed right to the next set room. And then we've got Charge of Light. And I'm not timed. I can keep this as long as I want it. So we'll get a stone on this and stop first. That's the first thing that you should really do. Then storm, dodge, then repeat with a bit more Malfeasance. If I hadn't reloaded there, he would have died, but he's just about dead now anyway. Some void shields in this room. I'll just use one heavy here. And then we'll shoulder charge. You obviously need to melee the Scions. That's the mechanic. You need to melee the Scions to take down the Ultra shield. You can then take down the Ultra, get the scan. Don't forget to get the scan, because if you miss it now, you've got to go back and waste time. You want, I mean, the way I do the boss is actually pretty fast. You can do the boss in probably less than 4 minutes. So I suggest you want 5 minutes getting to the boss. That will be a casual, decent time. Right, now I have 6 minutes. But now I could have skipped the barriers as well. If you didn't know you can skip these barriers, what I could have done is use a Roman Super Fist of Havoc, tank all the damage, which I could have done, wait next to the door, storm grenade the turrets, and then go through the door, and the champs will despawn after a bit. And the door will shut behind you. I've done it on a hunter if you're not aware of what I'm talking about. But I could have done it right now. But I figured, you know what? I've got such a good build on, I don't need to do that. I'll just clear the champs. It's an extra 20 seconds. I'm not too fussed. Because I know that the boss fight itself, I'm not going to need much time. So how I'm doing it, I've got this box as cover. To my left, I'm going to do a storm grenade. And then just all heavy. I need to get as much damage in as I can. Right, if you can get a third off right off the bat, this saves you so much time because you're on phase 2 already. You see, you're on phase 2 already, and you know 5 minutes in, so that's just saved you time. Because if you let the boss go and don't do the damage you need to, the boss has so much RNG elements to him that he could go left, right, down below, in a place where there's lots of ads and the turrets are hitting you and all this stuff. There's a lot of RNG with this boss, so you need to mitigate that by playing well, doing damage for that window, because that is consistent. If you get your damage in right away, at least you'll get the damage in for phase 1. Now you get turrets that spawn in middle every phase. You need to take the turrets out. You cannot skip turrets. Unless you're on Hunter Invis, I do not recommend skipping turrets. So use your melee, you get health. See, on Arc 3.0 Titan, you're not getting your health via your grenades, which I can foresee being a problem to people. They'd probably prefer Sunbreaker Titan, and Sunbreaker Titan will be better for this room for somebody who's not experienced with it. Definitely, with the mini hammer and all that stuff. For sure. Look at the damage this Fist of Havoc's doing right now. I was actually quite, as I say, surprised with that. Like I say, I don't know if Spark of Feedback actually buffs its damage. I would love to know, I'm not sure. So, look at the boss. We've used a super, a storm grenade here and there, and the boss is actually on phase 3. This is really good. Same again, we need to be on turret duty. Don't be frightened to use linear heavy damage, right? Because linear is really good, because it's sticky aim assist. You can just pull it out, get the turret, and then rotate around the map. Map rotation is key for this fight, right? Because there's champs spawning. I think there's 2. I think it's 1 for phase 2, and then on this phase you get 2 champs. Now I could have killed them, and I would, and to be honest, because of how decent it is for damage and time, you might be in your interest to kill them. If they're getting on your nerves, kill them. Get a storm grenade tracked on them, get that shield break, and then the storm grenade will kill the champ. So I wouldn't argue if you said I'm going to clear the champs. Not at all. So we got all the scions. Well, there's one more. Obviously, it's always the same scions left, mid, right. Mid's the hardest. If there's a barrier sitting on mid scion, you need to sort of bait that the champ away from the scion, because that champ will stomp you, right? And you take a lot of damage off that. Now we're all damaged. Now the boss as well, which I didn't get chance to mention, he has Solar Void and Arc. Arc is like it's like he does a storm grenade towards you, so it's actually interesting. The solar is the worst because it tracks you. Right, so you need to play underneath when that happens, underneath the platform, so you avoid the solar. The void isn't so bad, you just shoot to get yourself out of there, so that's not too bad. But as I said, be wary on the solar phase, especially if you're on like Arc, because you may die to it, so just be careful of that. We'll get the boss there at the end. That was the Solar Flawless Master Vox Obscura on Arc 3.0 Titan. Hope you enjoy. Thank you.